Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Tanya Sheckley, and I am founder of Up Academy Elementary School. I'm going to share with you the story of how Up Academy came to be, and what I want you to walk away with from this are ideas and ways that you can think big, ways that you can be creative, and an understanding that for all of our clients, for all of our participants, for all of our students, anything is possible. And the limitations often that are imposed on them are not limitations that are real, but it's part of a gap that I call the expectations gap, which I'll talk a little bit about as well. So first I want to share.
I just wanted to let you know your screen to me is all gray.
Oh, you can't see me?
No, it just went gray.
I can see me.
Okay, so go ahead. Somebody else can see you. Excellent.
Great. So I'll share with you the story of how Up Academy became to be and share with you a little about my daughter. So I want you to imagine a little girl. She's 6 years old. She has blonde hair and the brightest blue eyes that you have ever seen. And this is my daughter, Eliza. Eliza was born with cerebral palsy. And so she was unable to walk and unable to verbally communicate and to talk. And so we spent the first 5 years of her life really looking all over the world. We worked with doctors in Austria. We worked with organizations across the United States, looking for the best possible experiences to help her overcome her brain injury that she had before birth, and help her to really reach her ultimate potential and do everything that we knew that that was possible for her to do. So when it came to going to school, we went in and we met with the school district. And in the United States, when you have a child with disabilities, you can't just sign up for school and show up. There's lots of meetings, there's lots of discussion, there's lots of evaluations, and everybody wants to see and know and understand and hear and write papers about all of the things that your child cannot do. And so we went through this whole process with the school district, and we had asked them for several things to help support her. And they came back and basically said no. But along with that, they gave us a sheet that pretty much said that she was able and eligible to access school, but that they could not guarantee to provide any specific level of education once she was there. And that made me really angry and really upset. And I wondered, what would that mean for all of our students in public school? What if every time we enrolled a student, the school district said, oh yeah, they can come to school here, but we're not going to guarantee they actually leave with an education? That wasn't okay with me for my child, and it shouldn't be okay with anyone for their child, but it made me really angry. And I started to think that there should be a better way to do education. There should be a better way to support all of our students. So that's when the idea of Up Academy started to be born. Now, we did enroll my daughter in public school, and she got into a parent participation program, which meant that everybody's parent was required to be in the classroom at least 2 hours a week to support the class. And sometimes it was a parent, sometimes it was a nanny, sometimes it was a support person, but everyone was required to have a caregiver in the class at least 2 hours a week. And so part of me felt like, since everybody's parent was there and everybody would have an adult sometimes, that this would make the fact that she had a one-to-one aide stand out just a little bit less and make it just a little bit more normalized for her to be in that space. So we enrolled in school, and so on our first day, I asked her, and Eliza was nonverbal, so we'd ask her things by making hand choices. And I'd ask her simple questions sometimes, like, do you want eggs for breakfast or do you want French toast? And she'd choose by picking a hand. On this morning, I asked her, do you want to be carried into school or would you like to walk? And Eliza chose that she would like to walk. And she had a lot of strength in her legs. She could walk and take steps as long as she was supported. So her little brother had been born. I have a baby in the baby carrier. I'm holding onto Eliza's shoulders, who's walking in front of me, and we're walking into kindergarten. And so as we're walking in, she's doing great. It's a wonderful day. And I hear a story later from a woman who became a very good friend of mine. And what's happening?
You're good on my end.
I'm good?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm getting weird pop-ups on my screen. I apologize, everyone. So we're walking into school, and my friend Susan tells me a story years later about that first day of kindergarten. And Susan has a daughter whose name is Amelia. And Amelia was coming into kindergarten already being able to read, already doing math problems, already advanced for a kindergartner in our expectations. And Susan looked over at my daughter, and her first thought was, no, there's a child in this class who's going to hold everybody back. This child isn't going to be able to keep up. She's not going to be smart enough. She's going to slow down the class and cause disruption. And it's going to be a problem for everyone. And so she's really discouraged that she sees my daughter in the classroom. And so we go to school. I don't know any of this, but I think this is a common sentiment when we see people with disabilities and when we don't understand what they're capable of. So Eliza and Amelia go to school together, and they spend time in class together, and Amelia comes over for play dates, and they become best friends. And what happens is Susan had to readjust her expectations of what was possible in the classroom, of what was possible for students with disabilities, and what was possible for inclusion. And so one of the things that's important to remember here is that we always need to look at things from a different angle. And when we can remove our own thoughts and expectations and look at things from...
Hello, everyone. I think we're having some technical difficulties in the session, and it sounds like Tanya is having trouble getting back in, and I'm not sure if Amanda is there also. So I just wanted to hop on stage and say thank you for being here. I'd love to refer you to look at Tanya Sheckley's Academy website in the meantime. All right, so this is the Academy where Tanya is the founder, and it's the website is apexINSPIRE.com. So we can learn a little bit more about what makes the Academy different. I love the statement that your child is unique, see them shine. So the Academy's goal is to help students reach their ultimate potential. For some students, that's standing up, it's learning up, it's moving up, it's reaching up. It's about looking to achieve more and always do your best so you can reach your ultimate potential. So inclusion is a big part of their mission there. It's really a philosophy of acceptance and flexibility so that each student stands out and is celebrated for her or his differences and contributions. So those of you joining us from Germany right now in your studies, I'm curious to hear in the chat if you have experience with this, if you've worked with inclusion in the classroom and how that's worked for you. Yes, awesome. I was just sharing a little bit about your academy with the audience while we waited for you to come back, Tanya.
Thank you. Yeah, I am so sorry. This has never happened before. My computer completely froze up and shut down, like just blackout. And
yeah.
gone.
It takes a lot of bandwidth. It's good to try to keep this is the only thing. So I'll turn it back over to you and I'll go off stage. So yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm looking forward to hearing more about your story.
Thanks. So hi everyone, I'm back. And apologies again. Hopefully my whole day won't go like this. Some days are like this. And hopefully we can continue through the rest of this with fewer interruptions. So back to where we were. I was talking about my friend Susan and starting the first day of kindergarten and Eliza walking into class and Susan feeling like she was really disappointed that there was a child with disabilities in her daughter's class and that it was going to hold everyone back. And I think this is a common sentiment among parents and among people who don't really understand people with disabilities or people who are different. And that's part of the reason why it's so important to create inclusion and to create a new method of education where we can see everyone as capable. So what happened in the classroom is Eliza had an amazing teacher that year. She was a woman who had experience in special education and in general education, and she fully integrated everyone quite seamlessly and easily. And Eliza, you know, apart from my fears, which I was terrified to send her to school, I was afraid she was going to be made fun of. I was afraid she wasn't going to have friends. I was afraid nobody would want to sit with her because she drooled. And I was really concerned about what was going to happen because she also couldn't come home and tell me what happened. There was no way for her to communicate, hey, I had a great day. I loved the math project we did. Or, hey, my day was awful. This kid came by and made fun of me and I felt terrible. She couldn't tell me any of that. So I was terrified to send her to school. But what happened is she really became the most popular kid in her class. She was very decisive when it came to project-based learning and what they should do and which direction they should take. Kids loved asking her questions and wanted to work with her and get her opinion. Kids loved sitting with her on the bus when they went on field trips. They all took turns sitting with her, sitting next to her at the table at lunch because they all wanted to connect with her and spend time with her. And Eliza and Amelia, my now friend Susan's daughter, became best friends. And they came over, they had play dates, and Susan really saw the benefits of a fully inclusive classroom as her daughter grew, not only academically from being in school and in the class, but also socially and emotionally by making friends with people who were different than her and learning to communicate in new and different ways. And so we really saw how amazing education could be. Now, when I think back to special education when I was a student, in my school, it was a place. It was in a dark corner. Nobody went there. There wasn't any interaction. The students in special education had a separate lunch hour. They had a separate recess. They had separate PE. There was no inclusion among the typical students and the students in special education. And it really created this experience of being afraid of the other students, not knowing what to say, not understanding sometimes why they might behave the way they do or sound the way they did. And that's something that we need to, as a society, release and learn to work together and learn to see the capabilities of everyone. And to do that, we need to education differently. We need to look at our students differently. We need to look at just humanity really differently as we design spaces that are universal for everyone to access, that are recognize the capabilities of everyone as they're coming in and sharing that space. Now, my daughter Eliza unexpectedly passed away 6 years ago. So she unfortunately is not a member of our school, but in losing her and in knowing her and in spending so much time understanding and learning about her, we really felt that we had learned too much about education and about the gaps in the system from her to turn and walk away. And one of the main things that we found was her actual ability and her actual potential was super high. She was smart, she was curious, she was observant, she was social. But when she'd go through all of these initial testings and evaluations and meeting with new people, the potential that they saw or the expectations that they had were much. And so this is where we see that gap between what we know is possible and what we've been oftentimes trained to expect. And so this is where I ask for all of you to think big, to reach for the ultimate potential in your clients and in yourself, and think about what that means when we could close that gap and create experiences with high expectations. So our school is now open. We have been open for 4 years. We serve a wide variety of students, and we're continuing to grow and open around the world. So I'm excited to share the ideas and the possibilities with, and really give you that opportunity to think creatively and think bigger. Thank you so much. I'm putting my email and my website in the chat, and I see a note asking, how are we expanding? So a piece of our mission had always been to create a method of education that was inclusive and project-based and really valued all students, and then share that with the world, because we can only influence a handful of families in our own school. But when we share that with the world, we can really change and shape a generation, which is the larger vision. So right now we are building an affiliate network. We're just launching this year. So we are inviting founders from around the country and around the world to come and join and open their own UP academies. So with that comes some training in our framework, some training in our methodology, use of our trademarks and our name, ongoing coaching for new school founders to be able to open inclusive academies in their communities wherever they may live. The second piece of that for us is providing professional development and consulting services to existing schools. So we do development on inclusive project-based learning, on inquiry learning, on multisensory learning, on engaging and scaffolding the entire class, and consulting and working with schools who want to shift the mindset of the way that they've always done things and challenge that status quo into a new way of creating student experiences that are inclusive and create high expectations for everyone. And so we're expanding our model both to currently existing schools and supporting new schools in opening. Yeah, I'm happy to answer any other questions if anybody has anything they want to put in the chat. That would be wonderful.
Thank you so much. I feel like your story is so inspiring, and I love some of the ideas that you're sharing overall, these big picture concepts of how we can make a change and how we can use our experiences to do that. Okay, so we have a question. Is this concept only for people with physical disabilities or also with neurological issues?
Yeah, so our I mean, clearly my inspiration and the legacy of my daughter is a focus on students with physical disabilities. Our school, about 40% of our student population would be eligible for special education services, and the majority of those are for neurodiverse students. And so when we use small class sizes, when we build relationships among the students and the staff, and when we create a lot of supports naturally within the classroom, like our classrooms all have peace corners, they all have toolboxes. We work on self-awareness and self-regulation and social emotional skills. And this is all just a part of the culture and framework of the school. And so when we incorporate all of these things in naturally, we find that it supports a wide variety of neurotypical, neurodiverse, and physically abled and physically disabled students all in the same space. And so we have students who are profoundly gifted. We have students with a variety of diagnoses, and the model works well really for all of them. And so it is a concept that has expanded and will continue to expand to work with lots of other students. And as we're growing and as we're opening other up academies, those can each be inclusive with their own focus as well. That was a great question. Thank you. What advice would you give to a parent who's struggling to integrate their child in a typical school and doesn't have access to a school? Yeah, that's a big one. How do we work with our schools to help them to be more inclusive and have, for lack of a better word, much more of an open mind around the issues? And, you know, part of it honestly is education. And I found with our public school and our IEP process, like I was in a room full of very caring, very well-educated people who really did have the best intentions in mind, but who were also restricted by the policies and procedures and things that they had to follow because of the school district rules and regulations. And so I think when we're working with the school district, it's figuring out what really is the best possible place for your student to be, and how can we make it possible for them to be in an inclusion setting and to fully integrate? Because the question isn't what is the child capable of or not capable of. The question really is, what supports do they need to make this possible, and how can we provide them? And so then creating those supports and pushing and educating our school district and our professionals within that district around the ideas and creativity and creating possibilities. And so often that it's so much easier to just do things the way they've always been done than to try and bend the mold for somebody new. But unless we're continually pushing and asking and questioning and trying for something new, it's going to continue to be done the way it's always been done. And that way isn't good enough for a lot of our kids. So it's working with those people, working with the district, working through the issues, and trying to find as many creative ways as you possibly can to get the access that you're looking for. Do I advise parents to get an advocate to assist them in navigating options and supports? Unfortunately, it's often necessary within the school district, and this depends on your district, and it depends on your special education director and your principal and your superintendent as to how open they're going to be and how much wiggle room they will give. In my district, when I kept asking for supports and asking questions, I continually got no. And I like to say I'm a lover, not a fighter. I wasn't one that wanted to get an advocate and a lawyer and fight them. I prefer just to step back and do it my own way, and the way that I knew could be better. And looking at that, you know, there's lots of ways to change a system, and you can try and change it from the inside, and working with the system and trying to navigate options there. Or you can create something new and different that then puts pressure on the system to change and create something new and different, because now people see what's possible and they want that and they want more. And so that's the avenue I went. But yes, if you're not getting the results that you need or that you want, and your students not getting the support or the inclusion or the services or the things that they need to be successful, then yeah, sometimes you need to get an advocate, sometimes you need to get a lawyer, and that's just an unfortunate part of the whole process.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. It's extremely inspiring, and it's really thought-provoking. I'm really excited about thinking about how I can make a change and what I could do.
Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome. So thank you for joining us. And we will see everybody soon.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, we can go over to the booths. All of the booths are open today, and tomorrow there's an open house. So hopefully we will see everybody over there. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
You're welcome.